Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. All right. Caroline Leavitt made an announcement the other day that was interesting. She announced that Donald Trump is going to be going for his annual checkup at Walter Reed Medical Center on Friday, October 10th. While there, President Trump will stop by for his routine yearly checkup. Said that he has a planned meeting with troops at the facility, deliver remarks to them, and then he hopes to travel to the Middle East to secure a peace deal between Israel and Hamas to end the war in Gaza. Now, what's interesting about that is that Trump already had his routine annual medical exam in April of 2025. And he was, you might remember, he was like 6'3", 220 pounds of pure manliness. So those three facts right there let you know that the medical report was completely wrong, lies. They said because you could tell he was in great health because he wins golf tournaments. That is just amazing, absolutely amazing. So Mr. Perfectly Healthy then suddenly has venous problems and chronic venous insufficiency that they just totally missed a few months earlier. He went in April and July. He suddenly has this. Who could have seen it happening? And now you see all the bruising on his hand covered up with makeup because likely he's getting diuretics done in IVs to help with his swollen ankles, which more likely than not is related to congestive heart failure. He's now going to the doctors again. And this time they're announcing as opposed to having him just disappear. So let's take a look at Trump's health, because nothing I like reading on more than on Donald Trump than reading on his health. All right? Entertainment purposes only. I'm not a doctor. I don't role play a doctor in my D&D group. Let's see what's going on with Donald Trump's visit to Walter Reed, the Hanged Man. It's about his ankles. Isn't that a great card? Look at that. Hanging upside down by his ankles. Got to get the blood out of my ankles and into my brain. Crossed with the Six of Swords. Trying to calm things down. It's like trying to get things under control. This is like one of those things where they probably need him there for a little bit to do a battery of tests to see if what they're doing is working. That's interesting. And he wants to go overseas. So part of this also is, will he be able to go overseas, or does he need like a topping up or something like that before he takes a long flight to the Middle East? Underneath it all is the Queen of Wands. Caroline Leavitt, is this his chief of staff? What is going on here with this Queen of Wands? This is about thinking. Yeah, okay. So Queen of Wands is kind of like the internal thinking about what your next plans are. So I do think that part of this is for the doctors to look to see how they're going to continue to treat him, and for him, if he can take his trip so he can take a victory lap in Israel. In the past, you got Temperance. Here's your foot in the water with it getting all swollen up with water. Taking his drugs, doing what he needs to do. God, it almost makes me wonder if they're going to do something like dialysis with him there. I really don't think that's the case, because that's not really the problem he's dealing with. It probably should be one of the problems he's dealing with, but he's been undergoing treatments. Lasix is about getting water out of your system, because congestive heart failure is kind of like your thorax or your lungs filling with water, and it's like you're drowning, and you got all these water cards here. So it's like trying to get his symptoms under control. Thoughts and prayers. Current situation is the Death card. Now, The death card does not necessarily mean physical actual death. And Lord knows we've tried to bury this guy more than once, and he just refuses to die. But the current situation is the death card, bringing something to an end. This could be bringing war to an end in Israel and Gaza. But again, between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. But again, it's almost like he has to get the doctor's clearance in order to do this overseas travel. And this is going to be that evaluation here. It could also be bringing to an end to whatever current treatment regime that he's on. Overarching energy is the Wheel of Fortune. Look, by the way, look at all the major arcana here. You got the Hanged Man, Temperance, Death card, Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune, progression. Things are progressing. I don't think the treatments are working for him, or they're not giving him the benefits that they used to give him, because we have a progression here. That's what we're seeing. The lesson to be learned is the Emperor. It's been his lifestyle. This is a emperor, but you can still see he wears the the armor underneath his robes. He's never stopped being a soldier underneath, even though he sits in this chair. This person is made up of his past. And this is Donald Trump being what he's facing now has been made up of his past. And you can just look at this to say he's got support socks on and they're made of metal. In other words, he's done this to himself. He just has to own it. This is what it is. There's no one doing it. Out comes the Star card. Well, again, you got a foot in the water here. You've got water being dipped out. This is like the best of the United States. Integration versus non-integration. Trump wants to go to the Middle East. He wants to go to the Middle East and secure. He wants. This is like the opening of another Trump Tower. He doesn't really do any of the work, but he's going to go in there and pee on it and put a big giant gold T on the front of it and call it his. He really wants to go on this trip. He really wants to go on this trip. I don't think he'll take no for an answer. The doctors at Walter Reed, when they evaluate Trump, and he tells them that he wants to go on this trip to the Middle East, let's look at the energy around these doctors. Do they want him to go, or are they going to be able to give him something to allow him to go? Or Carter. 9 of Coins. It's like if this is not the best thing for your health. Resting and relaxing is the best thing for your health. Ace of Wands. Knight of Cups. They're going to capitulate. Knight of Wands. And the Justice card. Okay, so what are they going to do? They're going to advise that he rest and relax, because that's just, he's, with his conditions, his age, this is just what you need to do. But they will compromise with him. They will come up with a plan, something he needs to follow rigorously. Like, take this magic elixir, you have to do it, and you have to do it for, take this elixir every 4 hours, and you have to do it every 4 hours the entire time you're there, type of thing. Or else you're not going to be able to enjoy your retirement, type of thing. I think they recognize it's not the best for his health, but they'll work with him. They'll give him what he needs. They'll dose him up. Let's see. 9 of Coins with the Justice card underneath. His health might be okay for the moment, but they also recognize that that's just he's having a good day. It's like he has a good day when he's there. But I mean by that is the good days and bad days. How is Donald Trump actually feeling right now? He tells the media he feels great. Well, that's awesome. How's Donald Trump feeling right now? Especially with this unscheduled stop. This unscheduled scheduled stop. King of Swords. Yeah. It's kind of a determination thing. He's determined to go. Knight of Swords. King of Cups. Queen of Cups. Good Lord, all this royalty cards here. And the Hermit card. It's like there's a compelled feeling he needs to go forward and do this. He's got to get to the Middle East. He will have an absolute tantrum, foot in the water or not. He's got to race there. It's like he's racing with destiny. Almost like if he's not there, the deal falls through. That's how he feels. He's got to be there to make sure the deal goes through, type of thing. Yeah, royalty cards. And I really do think he wants to do this. He keeps talking about wanting to go to heaven. He's not doing so great. Maybe if he could bring peace to the Middle East, that'll be his ticket in. It doesn't quite work that way. But okay. You know what would work better? You owning all the crappy behavior you ever did and start apologizing and making retributions for it and not repeating the mistakes. That'll help out a lot. You don't have much time. Will Trump survive his trip to the Middle East? I'm sorry, his trip to Israel, followed by a trip to the Middle East. I guess Israel is in the Middle East. Where is he going? There was another place he was going. Where I thought it said in this article. No, we're going to that. He was going to go somewhere else after that. Maybe I was misreading the article and thinking that he was going to like Egypt or someplace like that. I thought he was. Let me check real quick. Hang on. Yeah, he does. He wants to go to Egypt as well. Okay, maybe ask it different. Will Trump return to the United States after his trip to Israel and Egypt? See where I'm going with this, right? Where's Sterling when you need him? Now Egypt has extradition treaties with the United States, I believe. So, next stop, United Arab Emirates or Saudi Arabia. But will he return to the United States from Egypt? 4 cards. 5 of Swords, if he wants to. After securing his victory. Got the Death card. Oh my, that one came up again. The 9 of Swords. 3 of Cups. 3 of Wands. Will he come back? I guess it kind of depends what he's coming back to. He'll do what's best for him. If he feels like staying over there is the win for him, there's a lot of anxiety underneath it. Right now, he's going through a lot of anxiety with this. I think he understands that the Epstein files are coming out. And that there's really no stopping this. So, will he come back from this trip? I think so. Here's underneath is like planning a trip, waiting for your ship to come in. It's almost like play it by ear. Okay, I'm going to go over here and do this to secure my legacy type of thing. And assuming that the Epstein documents haven't been released, he'd likely come back. But if something were to happen, like the Epstein documents were imminent to be coming out, he may not come back at that point. Okay? So he's kind of at an inflection. I think by taking a trip to Egypt now, he could be setting the table for another trip later. And at least he'll be out of the country for a little bit. Will, I got the death card, so let's just ask. My original question was, will Donald Trump survive this trip to Israel and Egypt? Will he survive the trip? Now, it might be no, but that doesn't mean he'll die right away. If he decides not to come back, he could die in the Middle East type of thing. But will he pass? That's really kind of a morbid way to put it, but Knight of Wands, 8 of Wands, 4 of Wands, the Tower card, 3 of Wands. I don't think so. A lot of fire energy. Look at all this fire energy here. Going forward with the plan, being welcomed. You know what? I don't think he does. I think in some ways he's setting up the table for his eventual. This is part of his plan to leave the country and be welcomed in the Middle East because he ended the war and he stopped the missiles and he did it quickly. So, no, I don't think he's going to pass while on here. This is more, it's almost like a 9 of Wands thing. This is like a penultimate trip to the Middle East. I would expect that he will return from this trip, again, unless things go sideways. Assuming that things do not go sideways, I expect he will return from this trip. But it sets up the next trip for when things start to go sideways, and then he's got a place to go where he's going to be greeted with open arms and roses and strong men with tears in their eyes, because nobody's ever thought to bring peace before between Israel and Hamas and the poor Palestinians suffering underneath that. The numbers I saw in a different article were astounding, the number of people that have died in this. It was something like 60,000 civilians were killed. Nothing like pinpoint accuracy, Netanyahu. It's not the Israeli people. It's Netanyahu and his government. Just like, for the folks outside of the United States, it's not the American people. It's Donald Trump and his government that are the problem here. Now, they're supported by a very loud minority of people in the United States, but between election corruption and election cheating and stuff like that, they have a disproportionate sized voice in our country. The majority of people, I think in the United States, it might be safe to say, don't support the genocide in Palestine, and understand that your government doesn't represent the people in the country. And if we didn't understand it before, man, we're getting a master's course in it now. I'll stop pontificating. Thank you very much for watching this video and supporting my channel. I appreciate it. This reading is for entertainment purposes only, but I hope you found it insightful, and I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.